We are live. It's been a crazy day. I don't have my lighting quite right, but it'll be okay. What's everybody doing? We'll wait till everybody gets in the room. What time is it? We're 2 minutes late. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to live. If you would put in a comment, hello, whatever, say how's it going, where you're from, what you're working on, what kind of hot rod you're into. We're going to do live trivia tonight. We'll be doing questions, and let me show you some artwork. Show this one. So we're going to do question and answer automotive trivia tonight. And then if you get an answer correct, you win one of these. And then at the end of the night, everyone that got a question correct will advance to the final round, and what we're giving away is a snap-on wrench at the end of the live tonight. So one person tonight is going to win a snap-on wrench. It's 11/16 snap-on wrench. It has a value of about $40 to $50. So anyway, if you've never been here before, on Friday nights, usually Friday night, we kind of had a bad night. We couldn't get going yesterday. Sorry, I got to keep looking into the camera. Yesterday was kind of a crazy day, so I had to postpone the live. So if you just showed up, Motor in USA, hey, welcome to the live, brother. How you doing? I played around with that with IDI today. I'll give you guys an update on that. But we'll wait a little while, get some people. I'm sure we're going to get a few people into the live tonight, hopefully. Anyway, so we'll wait for, we'll get a crew of people in here, and then we'll get started. I figure I'm going to try to keep it to an hour tonight so I don't have to hold you guys up. I get to yapping about different things, and then it extends the live too long. But anyway, we're going to do trivia tonight. If you get a question right, you get to spin for this. Corrosion on that 8-in Ford on starter was the issue. Really? On the starter? Really? Well, that was a good find, huh? Got the light to go out though, huh? It's kind of weird that it was pulling a draw at the starter, but it was just corrosion, huh? So it was drawing the battery down. That's kind of odd. That's a good one though. A good find. Comment on that 8-in Ford on starter was the issue. Yeah, that's different. So I wonder what causes the draw though, because the starter's not being engaged. So maybe the main cable, the main battery cable that hooks to the starter, that must be it, right at the main battery, the big heavy cable from the battery to the starter. Just creating. What's up, OG? We're going to do trivia. We're just waiting for a few people to get into the room. Me and Motor in USA, we're talking about a draw that he had on his tractor. He was able to get it fixed. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you got it figured out. Yeah, those parasitic draws, once you do a few of them, they're not too bad. You know, you start figuring out bad with corrosion. Yeah, it was just probably just very corroded up. And once you got done, the light went out, huh? You got the light to go out after you were finished? No draw? That's great. It's nice when you find the problem. It's nice when you can confirm it, you know, and you go, okay, that was it. You know, you got it. For sure. I worked on that 7.3 today. I pulled all the injection lines off from the injectors to the injection pump and pulled all the top hats off. And so I'm going to make some new rubber and top hats on the table here, and then I'm going to go put them in tomorrow. I harbor zero trivia information, but I can offer silly answers. Hey, that's cool. We do some really simple ones though, so everybody can join in. So we'll do some pretty simple questions too, pretty basic ones, but you know, we like silly answers too. That's cool. And we'll just hang out just for a little bit to see if we get a big pile of people come in. If you guys don't mind waiting just a little bit. So what I did on the 7.3, I had a fuel leak up top. So I went ahead and took, on the 7.3s, they have like what they call a top hat. And then there'll be a small piece of fuel line, a top hat, a fuel line, a top hat. And But to get them off there, you got to take the injection lines off. So I pulled all the injection lines off from the injectors down to the injection pump, took them all off, and then took all the top hats off on both sides. So I'll drop a video about that if you've never done it. It's just when you're dealing with the injection pump and you've never worked on diesel before, just try to think of it like a distributor. Same thing. It's distributing fuel instead of spark, and each one of those lines has to be in the correct spot and go to the right cylinder, just like a distributor does for ignition on a gas car. Same kind of thing. Anyway, we'll probably get going here. You guys want to get started? Bam. What else I got to tell you about? I got a couple products to show you tonight. Hey, if you guys are here and you haven't been here before and you don't mind doing it, if you would go down in the links in the description, there's links for a couple products there. If you click on them, it doesn't matter if you buy it or not. It helps the channel. But if you do purchase something, we get like a 5% on it, whatever. Anyway, this is what we're spending for tonight. Let's see, can you see that pretty good? It's 11/16 snap-on wrench. Should be Street Pharmaceuticals in high school. Does that count? No, we don't do that here. So it's a snap-on. So Blue Point, just so you know, anytime you see this one says Blue Point on it. If it says Blue Point on it, it's a snap-on tool. Blue Point was made by Snap-on. They just don't put the chrome finish on there. It's more of a dull finish. So Snap-on 11/16 wrench. We're going to spin for that. Okay, let's get going. I got some kind of funny ones here to do. What did I do with those ones I wrote down? Hang on, I got other ones too. I thought these would be cool to start out. See who knows their stuff here. Okay, first question. So what'll happen, whoever gets the question answered first, the fastest, gets to spin the wheel. If you land on Go Big Garage, then you get a piece of artwork like this. But I think this one belongs to Maggot. He'll be probably cruising through here, I'm sure. This is Maggot's. But he lives in Australia, so I got to figure out how I'm going to get that to him. Anyway, let me show you the ones we are going to spin for. I got some other ones in the room too. Here's the one. We'll do this one. We'll be spinning for this. So if you get the question right, you'll be spinning for this. And then at the end, so if you get a question right, you'll win. If you land on Go Big, you win the artwork. But as soon as you get a question right, you get put on the board for the snap-on wrench at the end of the life. Right? See, you guys understand? Understand? Man, it's been a long day for me. I missed out yesterday. I wasn't feeling good. I postponed the live yesterday. I usually do it on Saturday, but I wasn't feeling it, man. I usually don't feel bad. I very rarely get sick, but yesterday I was like, man, I just don't not feeling it at all. All right. Does anybody want to moderate tonight while we're doing this, just in case? We'll see. I'll try to throw people out that are being silly. All right, here we go. First question. What is a typical lubrication that you put on a spark plug when you're putting a steel spark plug in the aluminum head? What is it? What do normally people use for that? These are the questions I came up. First answer wins. What do you normally put on a spark plug as it's going into a CRC? Nope. Cotton, no. Nope. It was close. Motor and city, you're close. Oil, can use that. That's kind of a crappy question in a way, huh? I'm looking for a certain answer, though. Industry standard is what? Oh, black. I'll give you a hint. It's silver. It's a compound we use in the shops all the time for putting in spark plugs. It is silver in color. And it keeps the plug from getting seized into the head. That's a The C's part was, I gave you a hint right there. What is it called? Okay. Maggot got it. What did Maggot say? Out of my garage to look. NICs. You're right, Maggot. Maggot got it. Did I miss you the first time? So Maggot got it. NICs. Yeah, it's like a silver compound. We usually use that on spark plugs. I thought I'd throw some stuff in here that people that would have to like been in a shop to know. Maggot, you ready to spin, brother? All right, here we go. I already owe you one piece of artwork. Maybe you'll get two before you get your first one. Let's see. I want to figure out a way we can just turn this. Pretty soon I'm going to... That's not too bad, huh? Can you guys see that? Can't see the thing, though. Hang on, we got to do something different. There we go. It's not very good. I'm just going to move it so you can see good. Pretty soon we're gonna be able to have two cameras set up. You can see that, right? All right, here we go, Maggot. For a piece of artwork going to Australia. Man, go big, you win. Oh, number 10. Not today, homie. I know it's kind of a pain for me to set this up like this, but it's kind of all we can do right now. I'm going to go, we'll have two cameras pretty soon where we can have one on the wheel and one on my ugly mug. Maybe you guys would rather not look at my mug. You'd rather look at the wheel. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Here we go. Here's how it's going to go tonight, too. If we don't get... Here, let's put Maggot. So, see how that goes. Maggot's on the board now. Where'd my pen go? Man, I look so unorganized tonight. I'm really not with it. Hang on, man. I need a pen. I dropped my pen. Man, there's a lot going on when you try to do this by yourself. All right. This Maggot guy, man, he's on this board all the time. YouTube mechanic, whatever that means. All right, Maggot, you're on the board, brother. Could be winning you a snap-on wrench tonight. All right, these are some questions that I came up with because I thought they were different. Okay, question number 2. Get ready, because most of you guys may know this one. When somebody says hot wrench, what are they referring to? What is a hot wrench? What is a hot wrench? You better type fast because somebody's going to know this. If somebody's been around a shop, they'll know what a hot wrench is. Torch, you got it, Buzzy. Yeah, first time I think I seen you here, Buzz. First time? I don't remember seeing you. All right, Buzz, you're on the board to win the wrench tonight. Here we go. We will spin to win. Let's see if I can just rotate. I wish I could just figure out how to rotate that where I get a good shot at it. Can you guys see that pretty good? It's not bad, huh? All right, here you go, Buzz, for a piece of artwork. Whoa, big winner, Buzz. Buzz wins some artwork tonight. Woo! All right. Okay, Buzz, let me give you an option here, okay? Good job, brother. Welcome to the lives where we give away artwork by a very famous artist named Go Big. Hang on, guys. Might have to go grab some other artwork if we get some more winners tonight. That was pretty fast. Usually it takes a while. There you go, man. I'm going to put your name on here. So, here, I'm going to give you an option. You want 1 or 2? 1 or 2? What do you think, Buzz? Which one? 1 or 2? 1? You want 2? 2's you, man. All right. Let me put a little thing on the back here. I'm just going to write Buzz so I don't forget who it belongs to. And then at the end, I'll put my email up here. Send me an email, and I'll get it out to you. It usually takes about 5 or 6 days to get it in the mail. By the time I wrap it up and get it in the mail and they get it to you, depending on where you're at, as long as you're within the U.S. If you're not in the United States, it's gonna cost you a bundle. Ask Maggot. I still got to figure out how to get his to him without costing me $50. Okay, here we go. Next question. Good job, though. Got some winners tonight. Ding, ding. Yeah, okay. Yeah, at the end. I'll put it up here, and I won't write it out like an email address. It'll just be, you'll see what I'm talking about when I do it. I need to set up a different email, just because I have another email this one I'm going to give you, kind of use just for this, but I want to set up a different one just for the lives. Okay, here we go. There's 2 types of currents used in an automobile. What are they? What kind of currents? We're talking electricity. What kind of currents is in an automobile? There's 2 types. What are they? What are they? Buzz on it again, man. Oh, Buzz fast at this. You guys better get ready. This Buzz guy's got you guys looking bad. You gonna let him? You gonna put up with that? I don't know, man. He's fast on the keyboard. We'll see how he does on the really hard ones now, though. Here we go. Spin to win, brother. Here we go, Buzz, for a piece of artwork. I might have to make some more artwork for the night over. Close. All right. Here's the deal, though. From now on, what we're going to do, once you get on the board, you're on the board for the tool. We're not going to put people on there like 3 or 4 times, because then we just get with a couple of people on there. I want everybody to get a chance to win. But I'll figure out something. I'll figure out something cool to do for you guys that get more than one. All right, Buzz. Good job. Let's do a harder one. Give me a second. I got to pull, because some of these I got What sensor measures how much air enters the engine? What sensor measures the air going into the engine? First answer. I gotta get back to where I was at first. Gloves off, Morgan said. What sensor measures how much air is going into the air engine? Nope. Good job, Morgan. Got you, buddy. He thought he had you. It was close, though. So the O2 measures oxygen going out of the engine, or what's left in the exhaust stream. But a mass airflow sensor, MAF. MAF is mass airflow. All right, Motor in USA, you're on the board, brother. I'm trying to speed this. Holy crap, piece of my artwork just fell off the wall. Did you hear that? Made me jump. I'm getting old and jumpy. Motor in USA is on the board for the wrench. Trying to speed it up a little bit tonight, because I know before, man, we've been like an hour into it and we haven't done much. Here we go, man. Spin to win. Get it going back over that way so you can see it. It works out pretty good. Here we go, buddy. Good luck. It was close. That was close, right? Kind of fun though. All right, you're on the board though. Let me make sure I got this all right. I do my. Yep, I got you. All right. Just hearing the question, network delay. He's closer to physics. Oh well. They call that excuses where I come from. All right, here we go. And these were some that I came up. Okay, here only a guy's gonna know that's done this, so that's kind of cool in a way. What type of head bolts do you torque to a certain amount and then you go another 90 degrees? What do they call those? What do they call those head bolts that you torque and then you go another 90 degrees? What are they called? On a head bolt that you torque and then it gives you another degree to go, some usually 90 or 45, it'll tell you after you reach that torque, then you turn in another 90. What do they call those? That was a couple good guesses. Anybody else? That's kind of a hard question. If you haven't done it, you won't know the answer. That's kind of why I did these, so we'll find out who really knows their stuff, right? Did that 6 months ago, brain freeze. Yeah, I'll leave it up there for just a bit and let your brain think about it. No using Google. That's cheating. So typical torque bolt. A typical head bolt, it'll have you torque it, and then torque it to a certain spec. These torque bolts, he'll have you torque it to a certain foot-pounds and then go another 90 degrees. So there's a name for that, and you can't reuse them. You can only put them in once. They can't be reused because they stretch. Okay, I'm going to teach you guys something here. That's kind of cool. Those are called torque to yield. Torque to yield head bolts. All right, nobody got that one. Let's see if I got another one, good one. Okay, we'll go to my other questions now. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what this one says. What device controls fuel pressure in a fuel injection system? What device controls fuel pressure in a fuel injection system? First answer is going to spin. What device controls fuel pressure? What controls the amount of pressure? It's not the pump. So if you want to see 22 psi, what decides that? What gives it that pressure? Let's say the spec is 35. How does it maintain that 35 psi all the time? I'll let you guys stew on it for a minute. Everybody's going to get a chance to spin for the wrench tonight, by the way, just so you know. Compressor. With the Bowser. Compressor. Maggot, man, he's funny. That guy cracks me up. He's always a good time. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. I kind of like it when you guys get the questions wrong because then I get to teach you something, which makes me feel good. I'm kind of teaching as I go. So there's a fuel pressure regulator. So what happens is the pump comes on. Maybe the pump puts out 50 psi. It goes through a regulator, and the regulator determines how much pressure goes, and it dumps the excess back to the tank. So that's how a regulator works. And sometimes the fuel pressure regulators will have a vacuum line on them. So it knows when you go full throttle, you want more pressure. And that regulator, it can adjust that fuel pressure based on the throttle, the vacuum on that. Yep, you're right. You're right, clutch and stick, but you're too late. Clutch and stick, maybe you do have a delay. Are you having a delay on the questions? Because you get the answer, but it's after I told them what it was. I just put the answer. Okay. Yeah. Fuel pressure regulator. Yeah. So that's kind of good. I kind of like it when you guys don't know the answer, because then everybody's going to, like I said, everybody's going to get a chance tonight to spin for the wrench, man. I'm going to make sure, because, you know, we only have a certain amount of people. Whoever we have in here tonight at the end, we're going to give you a number on here. We're going to spin until somebody wins that wrench. That's how it's going to go. Hopefully we'll start getting more people in. You know, I want to, you know, I'm trying to really push that. Give me a second. I'm looking for a good question. I'll make this quick. What does a catalytic converter do? What does a catalytic converter do? What's its purpose? That's a pretty vague statement, but what is the purpose of the catalytic converter? What does it reduce? It was on Google. But you have to serve local for a trunking radio system. You can't put them in Texas where it's cheap. Maggot got it, man. Emissions. That's right. It reduces emissions. Good job, brother. Maggot to the rescue. Woo! We're going to spin. I'm trying to make this as fast as I can with the spinning so we don't screw around, but I want you guys to be able to see. Here we go, Maggot. For a piece of artwork, I'll owe you two. Pretty soon it's going to cost me $100 to get them in. Nah. Good try, though. 7 what? Yeah, it reduces emissions. So actually, a catalytic converter actually reduces HC, hydrocarbons, and CO both. And it does it it uses some rhodium and platinum. They use rhodium and platinum, and that's how it creates a chemical reaction, and it actually reduces hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide both. That's why people steal them, because they got platinum in them. The platinum is very expensive metal. That's why they're so valuable. I did a bunch of research on that one time, and they said when the catalytic converters came out, it raised the price of cars by $4,000, because that's what it cost to put them on there. And people had to eat the difference. And that's why it's a big secret thing, that what they do with them when they steal them and they sell them to these companies, and they split them open, and they actually melt it down, and they remove the platinum and the palladium, and then they get spot for that. And spot for platinum is like $3,000 an ounce. So they steal them all the time here. Yeah, I got a fix for that. That's one of the products that I've been sitting on for a while. I got a really good fix for that. That you can build it for $100, I think, and I think you could sell it for $300 or $400. So I'm kind of working on that. I have a really good product for keep people from stealing catalytic converters. I see in all the country. I use the post office, snail mail. Yeah, snail mail's the way to do it. I think to send to you though, it ain't cheap, man. It's like $40-$50, I think. But we'll see, man. We'll figure it out. I monitor my cats in real time using an app called Torque. They get up to 1600 Fahrenheit going uphill on the freeway. Yes. And the internal temperatures can get higher than that sometimes, like around 2000, 2500. So yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. Now I'm going to ask the next question. I don't know what I was thinking. One time I had a car come in, it had a rattle. So I put it up, and a lot of time your catalytic converters, they'll start rattling because the honeycomb breaks away inside there, and they go, they make a funny noise. So I pulled this car up. I don't know what I was thinking, man. I was pulling on stuff, checking on stuff, and I went like this with my hand and hit that catalytic converter. Burned the crap out of my hand. I don't know what I was thinking, oh, I'll just put my hand on this 2500 degree catalytic converter and see what it's doing. I only did that once, man. All right, next question. Hey, at 8:15, man, we're gonna spin for that wrench. I live in a county with no emissions test. Yeah, where my daughter lives, they don't have emission testing. In Nevada, I think Nevada has the best emission laws I ever heard of. California, you have to have every single emission device that came with that vehicle, and it has to meet a certain level. In Nevada, all they care about is what's coming out of the tailpipe. So if you can clean that, if you have a hot rod and you put a catalytic converter on one on each side and it comes out clean, that's all they care about. They want clean air. They don't care how you do it. So I like that, because California, it's stupid, man. You got to have, if you're missing some pieces, you can't get anymore. It's just so stupid the way the smog laws are here. Can't do an engine change. They used to let us do engine changes, but you can't even do engine changes anymore. It's just stupid. The whole thing is it's ridiculous. All right. Let me get another question. Sorry it's taking so long a question. I'm just trying to get good ones. This will be an easy one. Get ready. What tool is used to measure battery voltage? What tool is used to measure battery voltage? This shouldn't take long. Think about it. What would you use to measure battery voltage? Multimeter. Buzz, got it. Voltmeter. So Buzz got it because a multimeter is a voltmeter. He got you, maggot. Man, he put you down, brother. He had you by the neck. Put you down. All right. Coat hanger or screwdriver. That'll do it. All right, here we go. Here we go, Buzz. Buzz already won one, huh? That's okay. For the win. Oh, that was close. Did you see that? You see old motor and ribbing you a little bit there, maggot? Maggot down in flames. You almost did it again, Buzz. That was close. All right, here we go. Let's do this one. This is an easy one. You guys should be able to get this. What device opens and closes to control engine temperature? What device opens and closes to control engine temperature? First answer is going to spin. What device opens and closes to control engine temperature? Thermostat. Man, he barely got you, maggot. He got you by a millisecond, dude. Thermostat. Buzz is in it again. Buzz, you're killing it tonight. Let me tell you a quick story about here, I'll just cooling thermostat in line with the radiator. Yeah, clutch and stick, you got it right, but you're too late. Here we go. Buzz. We're gonna spin again. Ready? Here we go. Oh, close again. All right, here we go. I'm gonna turn you guys back this way for a second. Man, I'll be glad when I can run 2 cameras. Be a lot easier. We're gonna be able to do that soon. I'm gonna go ahead and pay the money to StreamYard where we can do 2 cameras. Not that I can afford it. I just want to do it. I don't want to like a buzzsaw. He already won. He came in here whooping on you guys like hard, man. He came in here, whoop, 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 got you guys running. My answers have to travel over 3 oceans. Yeah. Excuses, yeah. Oh, let me tell you, I'll tell you a little secret. You know, when I'm doing this, do you guys get tired of hearing me tell you things, or you just want to do the questions? Because I try to teach a little bit as I go. If I can teach you a little trick or something. This is kind of a cool trick. You want to know this one. So a lot of the Hondas and certain other newer cars, they have a hard time. Okay. They have a hard time getting the air out of the system. And I'll tell you some tricks to try that works really well. A couple of them. One thing is, like on a Honda, jack up one side of the car. So if the radiator cap's on this side, jack that side up really high. And then when you pour the fluid in, like let's say you had the intake off. Before you put the thermostat in, fill the intake with coolant before you put the thermostat in. You know, get it as full as you can, as much as it'll hold, then put in the thermostat, bolt it all down. And when you raise the motor like that, it lets that air come out easier. And instead of just like filling it real fast, pour it real slow as it goes in. It makes a difference. And it'll get that air out. And then I don't know if you guys ever seen a car that's been airlocked where it keeps overheating because it's full of air. It can't get no coolant in there to cool it down. And so that's what causes that, is getting air in there. So that one thing that I just told you is helpful, but this is a really neat trick a guy taught me. And man, it is a neat trick. So what happens is you're waiting for the thermostat to open up, and it has to be in coolant to open up. So if the water level drops down, it's just sitting there in air and it won't open. And sometimes you got to like superheat them to get them to open, and then you'll see it. If you watch a temperature gauge, if you ever worked on a car that you put coolant in, if you watch a temperature gauge, you'll see it when it opens, because it'll come up hot, 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 and then it'll look like, man, it's about ready to overheat. And then all of a sudden the temperature gauge will start swinging the other way. That's when you know the stat just opened up and it's letting that coolant in. But here's the deal that works well. And this is a cool trick. You take the thermostat, you know how you can push them open? Take an Advil, little tablet Advils. They say use aspirin, but I like the Advils because they're harder. And you just wedge it in there to hold the thermostat open. And then you put it in there. And then when you're filling it with water, it's already partway open. And then as it runs, that Advil will dissolve. And just, it's a cool trick. It works really well. Especially on something that you're fighting that's got airlocked. It's airlocked. Hondas are famous for that. They'll get airlocked and then they'll overheat. And guys will send them out like they're ready, and they come back on the tow truck because they didn't get the air out of the system and the thing is overheating. So you always, whenever you do an engine, any kind of thing where you drain the coolant, did an intake manifold, the engine, whatever, you want to make sure that that thermostat has opened. And how you do that is feel the upper and lower hose. If the upper hose is, the lower hose is hot and the upper is cold, the thermostat hasn't opened yet. You'll feel it when it opens because that upper hose will start getting hot because it's letting flow through there now. Yeah. Yeah, that is a cool little trick, man. When you've been around the industry a long time, you pick up on all these little tiny tricks that, that do help you a lot. Making smoke in an old school Lionel Mile train. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go on to the next question. So I thought that's kind of fun. I can tell you some other stories, but we'll go on. Okay, let's see what we got. Next week, I'm going to print these out, man. I don't know why I didn't print these out today, but I got them on my computer. Let's look here. This is an easy one. You guys should get this. What tool would you use to pull an engine code? What is it called? What tool do you use to pull engine codes? What's it called? First person to answer gets a spin. Who's going to spin? What do you use to pull an engine code? No, that's no. What is a tool called? You got it, buddy. Motor and got you guys. Scan tool. That's what they're called, as a scan tool. A diagnostic is what you're doing. So when you have a scanner and you hook it up, you're doing diagnostics. You're doing diagnostics. But the tool itself is called a scanner or a scan tool. OB2 monitor, that's close. So Motor in USA, man, you get to spin, buddy. Make sure I got you on the list. Actually, I don't think we even need this list tonight. I think everybody's going to be on. You know what? We're not even going to keep track of that. Everybody's going to be on the thing to win the tool tonight, but this is for the artwork. Let's get a better shot of that so you guys can see that. Man, I really got to update this spinning wheel, man. Northern USA, here you go. For some artwork. Here we go. Big bucks, no whammies. Nada. It was close. It was close, but no cigar. I'll give you guys some real quick info on scanners and how they used to be done. So when MCU or Ford came out with their first scanners or their first diagnostics, we used to pull codes with a light, with a test light. Early Ford systems, you just there was a pigtail that you grounded, and you hooked a test light up to it, and it had long and short blinks. It would go, and then it would go like blink, 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 and that would be a code 12. And then when it finished, it would do an 11, so you know it was done. It would go blink, 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 and do that a couple times, and then it run through the codes again. So if it gave you a 13, it'd be a long blink, 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 blink. That was a 13. And then then it would say, let's say it was 33, it would go blink, 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 blink. It would give you 2 digits on a test light. So you could pull the codes with a test light. And then the Chryslers, you could go on, off, on with the key, and it would flash the check engine light the same way on the dash in 2-digit numerals. So if you had a code 33 on a Chrysler, it would do the same thing the test light did, but it would do it on the dash light. Yeah, like Morse code. Yeah, similar. It just gives you a long and a short. So one was the first digit and the other one was the second digit. Then there'd be a little pause, and then it would go to the next number. A lot of times you'd have to watch it like 3 or 4 times to figure it out. But when it got done, it would do, I think it was either 11 or 12. I was thinking it was 11. The guys, I have one of those old plugins for the OBD1. The guy who sold me the 92 SHO had one. Those mid-80s Eldorados will show you how the codes on the digital display of the HVAC system. Yeah, okay, so Cadillac had some really cool deal. They had like, you could monitor stuff on the Cadillacs. So you could check the TPS, like you could go in on the HVAC control, on the control head, and you could go into this menu and you could say TPS, and then you could push on the throttle and it would actually give you voltage right on the display, which I thought was really cool. So I'll give you one more bit of information about check engine lights. And this is what you deal with in the shops a lot. Customer comes in, check engine lights on. You work on it. Let's say you spend 2 hours figuring what the problem is. You spend an hour repairing it. You charge the customer 3 hours. That's $600 now. So let's say you put a $200 part on it. So he's $800 into it. He goes out the door. What the customers don't understand is when the light comes on, the first thing they think of is, I just had this thing fixed for that stupid light and now the light's on again. Well, that light can come on for 500 different things. So I think what the manufacturer needs to do is when it sets the light, it should put a code. It should put a number on the dash for the customer to see. That way, when it happens again, if it comes back with the same number, they know, hey, they just fixed that. Then they come back and say, hey, I just paid for this. But let's say the next time the light comes on, it's a code 55. Well, now the customer doesn't have to be explained, hey, this is a different problem than the last time. And you get a lot of frustrated customers that are pissed because they just spent all this money and the light's on again. And I just had that fixed and now the light's on again. They don't understand the light monitors a lot of things in that car. So there's a lot of codes that go with that light, not just one code. TPS is throttle position sensor. It's a sensor on the throttle that it has a 5-volt reference to it. And depending on where that throttle is, determines how much voltage is sent to the computer to tell it where the throttle is. So, 5 volts might be full throttle, 2.5 might be half, and then 0 is idle. So that's how they know, the computer knows when you step on the throttle where the throttle's at. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Clutch and Stick. Yeah, that's what a TPS is, throttle position sensor. And, in the early days, they had a lot of problems with throttle position sensors. The wiper would go bad. So what would happen is most of your driving is done at cruise. So it was always like rubbing on this one spot. And then what you would do is you'd get glitches where it would go, it'd be good. And then all of a sudden it'd stumble real bad. And then it would get past that and then it would take off. And you'd have to monitor those with a meter, and you'd see it where it would go 0, 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, and then it would go to 0 again. So you knew, hey, there's a dead spot in the TPS. If your cars are 96 newer, you can run torque and monitor thousands of dollars of gauges worth of stuff for iPhone. Hey, thanks for putting that out, Clutch. Torque. I have to look into that. I didn't know that. I was unaware. Pretty cool. All right. Back to the questions. Okay, what time is it? Hey, at 8:15, man, let's spin. That way I don't hold you guys up all night long. Yeah, I'm going to start doing some automotive training lives. Are you guys interested in that? So I was thinking about doing a basic ignition system live where I just walk through how an ignition system works. This is a coil. This is a set of points. I know we don't do points anymore, but it teaches people the basics. It teaches basic ignition, how it works, and then you just substitute like a solid state unit for the points, so people kind of understand. Even though we have coil and plug now, it's still the same concept. You have a coil, it has a primary and a secondary. You have to build that magnetic field, and then when the field collapses, that's when it fires the coil. So I was thinking I'll set up a nice instructional type drawing. It shows everything, and I can walk everybody through it and teach them how to test it. If you have a problem, this is how you test the coil. How you check for power. How you can become the points. You could just become the ground and make it fire the coil easily. I saw that episode. Of what? The ignition? I don't think I did ignition yet. Maybe it was somebody else. I don't think I walked through ignition completely yet. We use cheap thermostat. That's a problem with a certain Aston Martin. Ed China from Wheeler Dealers rebuilt one. Oh, okay, I see what you guys are talking about. Absolutely. Wheeler Dealers. I got to check that out. So anyway, okay, next question. I'm surprised we didn't have more people tonight, but it's Sunday night, Saturday night's a better night, which I don't mind. It's fine with me. Trying to think of some good ones out of my head. Let me pull up another thing real quick, okay? Give me just a second, because I got to go over here. I got like 2 accounts. It's kind of crazy. I got to how come that's there? Hang on. Am I not in the right? No, I'm in the wrong email. Hang on a sec. So I gotta go, yeah. I don't have the email up. It's a problem. Hang on. I'll get there eventually. I got like 2 accounts on here. I got to remember what each email is doing. Let me move this thing out of my way for just a second. Hopefully you guys can still see me. Okay, that's the one I want right here. I want to make sure I'm on where you guys can see me. Can you see me? Can you see me now? Can. Okay, let's get this going here. There's a lot to do when you're doing these lives by yourself, man. I try to keep the flow going good. What part connects the piston to the crankshaft? What part connects the piston to the crankshaft? First answer is going to spin. What part connects the piston? I'm going to take maggot. That's a pretty common name for that back in the day. Conrod. Connecting rod. Yes. Maggot, you got it, man. Good job. Motor and City was right behind you. Buzz, a rocker arm is up in the valve train, and a rocker arm actually pushes on the push rod to open the valve. It pushes on the lifter. So the rocker arm's up in the valve covers. Just so you know, we're just trying to teach you as we go. Yeah. So the connecting rod, so the piston's here. The connecting rod is the piece that goes from the piston down to the crank. And as the crank goes around, it pulls that piston up and down. All I could think of. No, that's cool. Nothing wrong with guessing, man. You might get it. All right. Maggot got it again, man. This old timer's whooping you guys, man. I don't know. Some guy from Australia. These Australians, man, they know a lot of stuff. They don't know what day of the week it is, but they know a lot of stuff. What do you think, Maggot? All right, here we go, brother, for a second piece of artwork. Nada. You're as far off as you possibly could be. You're 180 out. I think your spinning wheel's out of time. Are we at 8? We're almost to the last one, man. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. I don't like to keep you guys hanged up on this thing. I like the lives a little bit better because I can just jack my jaw. I'm good at that. Let me think of something out of the top of my head. That'll be a good one. Oh, I got one. We'll see who knows what. We'll see who knows what. I gotta find my thing now. I can't find my StreamYard. There we are. Okay, good thing I look. We're staring. I want you guys to see my pretty mug. You know how beautiful I like. You know how I like to show my mug to everybody. Okay, this is a trick. We'll see who knows their stuff. If you're at home and you didn't have a pilot bearing remover tool, how could you get the pilot bearing out? There's a slick little way to do that, and I'm going to teach you. We'll see if anybody knows it. How do you get a pilot bearing out if you don't have a pilot bearing removal tool? There's actually 2 ways to do it. But I learned this from an old timer. It's a really neat trick. How do you get a pilot bearing out of the flywheel when you're doing a clutch? Heat and a hammer. Pick close on both. Because a hammer won't get it out. You can heat it, but you can't beat on it because it's in a hole. You got to get it to pull out of the hole. Sneaky Pete. It's not the answer I'm looking for. I'm going to teach you something on this one, I think, which will be a good thing. There's 2 ways. Tree and a chain, a clamp. Okay, we got some good questions. So now think about a pilot bearing is this big around. It's driven into a hole. And it has a tiny little hole in it, and it's driven in, so it has to come this way. You have to pull it out. A clamp, tree and chain. Okay, I'm going to teach you a really slick little trick. It's kind of a dirty trick, but it works. I've used it, and an old guy taught me this. My uncle actually taught me this. And there's another way I'll teach you about how to do it. If you have a solid bronze bushing type pilot bearing, it's just a big old chunk of brass with a hole in it. What you can do, you take grease and you fill the hole. You put the grease fitting in the hole where the transmission output shaft usually sits, and you fill it with grease. And then you take a wooden dowel and just will it down till it's about the size of the hole. Put it in that hole and then put a rag around it and whack it really hard with a hammer. That grease will push like this, and it'll pop it out. It works. It's amazing how good it works. And the other way you can do it is you can actually just take a tap and just tap the hole, whatever size it is. You know, if it's a 1/2 inch hole, you know, get a 1/2 inch or one size bigger tap, put some threads in it, and then take a bolt and put it in there, and then run it in. And when the bolt hits the end of the crank, when you push it in, it'll push the bushing out. So what do you think? Think that's a neat old trick? Try it sometime. Works good. Works really good. EM80 C4. Yes, it does. It works good. The grease trick was pretty amazing to me. I thought this ain't gonna work. You know, I thought what the heck is this? But you put that grease in there, you just take a end of a broomstick dowel, cut it off, and then, you know, smooth it, and you can just put it on like a sander or whatever. Get it down to where it fits real tight in that hole. Just whack it really hard with a hammer. It'll pop that bushing right out. It's pretty amazing how fast it works. All right, let's go. I think what I'll do, let's see. Make sure I didn't forget anybody here. Give me a second. I'm going to give your guys' names. Who do we have left in here? I'm going to give everybody a number. What we're going to do, I'm going to give everybody a number. And then Maggot, I'm going to give you lucky number 7. How's that? That's 7. Who's left here? I got Buzz. Buzz, I'm going to give you 15. Motor and City, I'm going to give you 10. Hang on, who I got? Let me look here. Make sure I don't forget anybody. How come that won't move? Clutch and Stick. I think that's all we got, huh? Is anybody else here that's been answering questions? Speak up. Clutch and Stick, I'm going to give you 7, 5, 15. 7, 10, 15. I'm going to give you number 2. Clutch, you're number 2. Is that all we have now? Because I'm showing 5, but I only got 4 numbers here. Did I miss somebody? Or is somebody just hanging out, didn't say anything? So right now I got Buzz, Motor and USA, Clutch and Stick, and Maggot. If there's anyone else here that's answered a question correctly, speak up so I don't miss you. Okay. Going once. 5 people watching, I know, but I only have 4 that's answered any questions that I can see. If there's a 5th person here that has answered a question correctly, speak up. Because all I see in the live is Buzz, Clutch and Stick, Maggot, and Motor and USA. So there must be somebody just kind of watching, that's cool. Whatever. So if nobody has any, okay, now we got 4. So whoever it was, they just left. All right, man, we're going to spin for the wrench. So what we're going to do, we're just going to spin until it lands on somebody's number. How's that? I think we didn't get a lot of outturn tonight because it's Sunday night. A lot of people, they do stuff on Sundays. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get a better shot of this. You know what, man? I'm going to take this off this tripod so you guys can see the whole thing. Beans, we're giving away the wrench now. Let's hang on a minute, man. I got stuff going everywhere. Let's do this. I'll get it off the tripod. You guys can kind of see better. Let me zoom this out too. That's a little bit better, huh? About like that. All right, here we go. You guys got your numbers? Everybody got their number? Maggot 7, Buzz 15, Motors 10, Clutch is 2. So we're just going to spin until it falls on one of those. Here we go for the wrench. What's the chances of that? That's funny, man. You can't make that shit up. Here we go. Spin it again. 16, nada. Here we go. $16 again. We may have to adjust the pressure on our wheel. Six. That was close, Maggot. You almost had it. Here we go. Seven. Maggot for the win. Woohoo! Well, now I can put your artwork and your wrench in the same box. Congratulations, brother. What day it is, isn't it a good feeling? Yeah, it is. You'll have to enumerate every position with actual contestants. Yeah, we just got to get more people in here to do that. That's the thing. I just didn't want I wanted somebody to win tonight, so I don't mind doing crap. Everybody had the same chance of winning. I just dropped my $500 camera, $600, $700 camera, whatever. Anyway, let me turn this around. Put the camera on backwards. Man, it's been a day. I did a bunch of filming outside today when I was doing that 7.3. Man, if you guys ever done a job and tried to film the whole thing, it takes forever. Trying to get the lighting just right so you can see what I was doing. So I did that whole thing. So good deal. Maggot, you got yourself a snap-on wrench. Do I have to write, should I write which ends the correct end to hold? Because I know you Aussies are kind of hard-headed. So when you use it, you want to put your hand on this end, just so you know. This end is so it slips off, it whacks you in the forehead, leaves you a nice little crescent right there between your eyeballs. All right, man, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this to you. You know what? I'm gonna look at the shipping and see what it'll cost me. If it's 60, 80 bucks, man, you're gonna have to come to the United States to get this bad boy. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Hey, we had a guy do something really cool today. We had a guy give us a $10 tip today. During the live. He's actually done that before. He's a pretty cool guy. His name's Doc something. LM Restorations does it. That guy rebuilds high-end BMWs and films like he has a staff like overhauling. You know what? A lot of these big channels, they do have like 10 people on staff. They have a film guy, they got an editor, they got a idealist that just comes up with ideas. So they got crews, man. You can see these channels that have like that Vice Grip Garage. He's probably got a crew of like 20 people that work on that. You know, he's just the actor, you know. So when you're a starting out YouTuber, man, you got to do it all. You got to come up with the idea. You got to film it. You're a one-man band, you know, so there's a lot of grind to it, and I enjoy it. You know, I like doing it. So anyway, hey, let me put something up here real quick. What am I doing here? Does that make sense, Buzz, to you? Look at the where it says FIDTY. That's not 50. That's FIDTY. Send me an email to that with your address, and then I'll get your artwork to you for sure. Appreciate you being here tonight. We can do the little yakking away if you guys want to for a little bit. I just wanted to keep it kind of short tonight, so I don't hold you guys up for 2 or 3 hours to do the spin of the for the tool. So anyway, maggot. Okay, and you know what? When I get off here later tonight, I'll send you one to say, hey, I'll confirm that I received it. Okay, and it usually takes me a couple days to get it in the mail, but because today's what the frig is today? Saturday. Today's Saturday. So tomorrow I won't make it into the mail till Monday or Tuesday. So figure seeing it in about 4 or 5 days. And I usually I'll autograph it on the back. So this ain't the one. I'll make sure I get the right one. Yeah, I got your name on there. So anyhow, I'll send this out to you. This is called it's pour art that I do. It's a pour. So I do it just to keep my mind right sometimes. And this is kind of fun to give these away during the lives. We've given a couple of them away now. Scout got one. I think another lady got one. Maggot has one coming, but he lives so dang far away. I got to figure out how many thousands of dollars it's going to cost me to do that. I said during the live I wasn't going to send it to anybody outside the United States, but he's such a nice guy, man. I didn't want to break his heart, so we're going to get it out to him somehow. We'll figure it out. Hey, you guys mind me showing you a couple of projects for you take off? One of them is I've already showed you guys these. I'm surprised we haven't sold more of these because they're such a good deal. They're like smoking deal. I got them all wired together, so I'll show you one. These lights are a freaking deal, man. I'm not kidding you. So right now, if you go in the description, there's a link for these LEDs. They're like $26 for 2 of them. And they're all aluminum. They got a nice cooling fins on the back. They have stainless steel hardware. And the hardware allows you to move them like this, and then you can stack them like side by side, or you can stack them end to end to make like a little tiny light bar. They're 7x3. Yeah, it would, huh? It's too bad. It's different kind of paint though. But yeah, a big pour like that would look cool on a car. But anyway, these things, check them out, man. I've done vehicle lighting for 20 years. I build police cars for a living. So I know when I see good quality lighting, these things are really good. They are super bright, and they got a spot, and they got 2 rows of floods. So the center lights go like this, and the outer ones are kind of like that. So you get a flood effect and you get a spot effect at the same time. What else was I going to say about these? Anyway, they're just really good quality. And they're $26 for a pair. You can't even buy a tail light at Harbor Freight for $13. These things are a good deal. I'm thinking about stocking up on them because when this company finally gets their product out, these things are going to triple in price. The only reason we get such a good deal on these is because we're affiliated with Amazon, and because they're trying to get their product out, they give a real good price on these. So they're a good deal. They're a really good deal. And we can get them in 4s too, just so you guys know. Like if you wanted 4 of them, you can get 4 for like, I think it's $45. They're like $12 a piece, man. And then you can get You can get 2 with the wiring harness for like, I think it's 36. So you get the harness and all the wiring and the button and all that for $36. So anyway, that's one product. And the links are down below in the description. And if you guys don't even buy nothing, if you would just go down there and click one of the links, because what it does, it opens up a 30-day window. Actually, I think it's a 24-hour window. And then anything you buy in the next 24 hours, we get like a commission on. So if you buy anything from Amazon, and then if you put it in your cart, I think it takes it out to like 2 months or something. So anyway, there's that one. Let me show you this other one. You guys mind me showing you this stuff? I know it's kind of annoying after a while. I try not to just cram the shit down people's throats, but we got to do it to keep the lights on here, man. You know, it's how we make our little big, it's chump change. Believe me when I tell you that it's freaking chump change what we get. Let me share this screen with you. Make sure nothing here is out of the ordinary. Let's zoom that up. Okay. I'm going to share the screen. Make sure I get the right one. That's not it. Hang on. We'll just give me just a second. I'm sorry, I've got this kind of screwed up. What I'm going to show you is, where's that one at? Sorry, guys, I don't mean to hang you up. I just want to get you a good. There they are right there. Let me share this with you. I'll share my screen now. Share. So this is a really good outdoor weather gear that I carry. One of these on my bike. They're called Frog Togs. So if you've never let me remove. Sorry, when I take myself out, I lose audio. This is a really good set of this company called Frog Togs that I've used for a long time. When I ride my motorcycle, I always carry a pair of these on me. And there's links below. There's a set right now for $35. It's just the top part, the jacket, but it's usually like $70. So, you know, if you're looking for some wet weather gear, those Frog Togs are a good deal. You know, and then there's another description. In the description, there's another one. They're like 100 and something, but they're more like for outdoor use. For like if you're hunting, they're kind of camoed up and they got Gore-Tex on them. They're heavier duty. But man, if you've never used a set of Frog Togs, these things are awesome, man. If you're looking for something to stay dry in for the winter, you know, take a look at them because they're really, I've used them and they're really worth buying. Yeah, they're dry as a bone. You ain't kidding. I don't, if you used them, Maggot, Frog Togs, because I use all kinds of wet weather gear, and these things right here, I've never had a better pair of wet weather gear, and they're half price right now. They're like $35 for the top piece, which is a pretty good deal. You know what happens when I'm looking for these things for you guys? I end up buying them because I'm like, man, that's a good deal. I'm going to buy one. We have jackets called Dry as the Bone. They're like oil coated. These things are good, man. A lot of the wet weather gear I've worn in the past, they make you sweat on the inside. These things are breathable, so you don't sweat like you do with a plastic like raincoat on, with motocross armor and a poncho over the top. Yeah. Dry as the bone. Anyway, there's a couple, and I think I put a fluke in there too. So if you guys are if anybody's looking for a good meter, I've been using fluke meters for a very long time. And I'll pull one up real quick here. It's like, how come it's not pulling up? Come on, dude. It's being really slow for some reason. You don't like it. So this isn't the exact one I got listed. You can buy. And I think the one I listed is like $130. And it's a pretty much like an automotive style meter. So anyway, there's my spiel on the products that we have. So all that stuff's in the descriptions if anybody's looking for something like that. And if not, that's cool too. Get rid of this. Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. The software is being weird. Like it's got me down here in this little, let me do this. Hang on. Here we go. I don't know what happened. The software bugged out. Anyway, if you're looking, yeah, they do. I got a fluke that I've had for 30 plus years, man. And it still works now. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, somehow the software bugged out on me. Anyway, if you're looking for a good meter, go check out in the description. There's a good meter in there. I think it's like 130, 140, something like that. But man, those flukes are a good buy. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with a fluke. So I was going to tell you guys, today I tore all the lines off of that IDI, that F250 that I got working on. It's a 7.3. And I filmed the whole thing step by step. Man, it took forever. Anyway, I did it anyway. But tomorrow I'm going to sit down. And so what I did was I took the right side and the left side off as one piece. So I'm going to lay them out on a bench. A lot of guys will do them in the vehicle one at a time and measure it. It takes forever. I find the best way to do those is get them off, get the right side off, the left side off, and leave all the hoses and all the top hats connected and set them on a bench and just sit down on a bench with the hose and the clamps and just build the whole right side and the whole left side. and then go out and just slap them on, you're done. It's a good way to do it. But anyway, I'm going to finish that up tomorrow. And then I'm going to go out there and play with that boat for some tomorrow, hopefully. My girl's off tomorrow, so I might end up spending some time with her. And sold it. Yeah, man, they're crazy how many miles you get on those things. When the neighborhood kids get off the internet, they're freaking up all the bandwidth. Where you have a problem, huh, clutch and stick with your bandwidth? That's a pain, isn't it? I hate that when you have internet problems. When our internet goes down, man, it really affects us here. Great motor, best motor that Ford ever built. I'm not exaggerating when I tell people that motor will go 1,000,000 miles. It will go 1,000,000 miles. And it'll pull 25, 30,000 pounds the whole way. They're just a brute of a motor. Probably the best motor that Ford ever built, in my opinion. So, and now those 7.3s, like that truck right there, if it's cleaned up and you do the bench seat on it and there's no big dents in it and the paint's nice and you buff it out, you'll get 15 grand for that truck. It's crazy what they get for them now. Those OBS 7.3s, they get top dollar for them. So I should have kept it. Yeah, they're hard to find now. I mean, they're not hard to find, but when you find them, people want 10,000 for them or more. I got lucky on this one. I bought this one for $700, and I bought it. I didn't even know if the motor ran. And this guy had it sitting in the back of his property for like 10 years. Didn't have no batteries in it. But I knew that 7.3, I was like, nope, that motor will go. It had 200 on it on the odometer. But I was like, I wasn't afraid, man. I was like, 200,000 ain't nothing on this motor. Unless they launched the transmission or the motor, this thing is well worth the money. So I went ahead and took a gamble, and it paid off. I ended up putting a starter in it, a set of glow plugs, and bypassed the fuel tank so I'm not sucking nasty gas in there. And yeah, I'll get to you here in a second, Lucky. Yeah, I do ride. Yeah, I've been riding for a long time. I got a 91 Electric Glide, and then I just bought a really cool bike. It's a 1984. I'll make sure I get the year right. 1984 first year Evolution, bone stock. The paint looks like it was just, the bike looks like it's 5 years old, and it's a 84. So that's my other bike. And then I just sold my Road King. I had a Road King, a 97 Road King, and I sold it. I didn't carry away the bars. Dude. Yeah, it's a big bike. It's a touring frame, you know. It's what they call a FLHS, which stands for sport. So it came without a bat wing fairing on the front and no tour pack. So no, just saddlebags, no fairing in the front, windshield. It was the first Road King. That's where the Road King came for. All right, Motoring USA. Hey, man, thanks for showing up for the live today. Appreciate it. I appreciate you helping other people out, too. That helps me, you know. When you answer questions that are helpful, it helps everybody. So appreciate that for sure. Yeah, Lucky, it's a pretty big bike, but I'm pretty tall. That's why I love that bike. I've had it for probably 15, 18 years now, and I've rode the crap out of that bike. It's got 115,000 miles on it, and it still runs fine, but I think I'm going to tear into it this winter. That's why I bought that other bike. I'm going to ride that other bike while I'm having the Electric Glide rebuilt. I'm going to do the motor and tranny and do a couple little upgrades, nothing major, because I love the bike's fine just like it is. It's carbureted. It's got an 80 cubic inch Evo motor in it. Best motor Harley ever built, in my opinion. And you know, they'll go 100. And I've heard of people saying they've gotten 200,000 out of an Evolution motor, but it's pumped up a little bit. It's got an Andrews cam in it and a Super Trap exhaust and an updated carburetor. So it runs out pretty good. All right, Buzz. Hey, I'll check my email for sure. No problem. Car question, somebody swipe my catalytic converter. If I drive it to the shop, will I damage the engine? No, it'll just be loud. It's not going to hurt your motor. It'll just be really loud. Back in the day, we used to have cars that would get plugged up exhaust, and that's how we used to confirm them. We'd cut the cat off and go drive around the block. Man, it's loud though. I mean, it sounds like a dragster. You're more likely to get pulled over by the cops than anything. And you just want to make sure that you divert the exhaust away from everything a little bit. You might put a little tip on it to point it down, because you don't want to blow that hot exhaust. You know, wherever it's broke off at, that's where the hot gases are going to come out. So you don't want to light nothing on fire. Constantly I'm out in the boonies. The company doesn't think we need much bandwidth. Are sophisticated enough to understand what's going on. I worked on computer network for years. Hey, Clutch and Stick, you ever thought about going to that Starlink? I've heard good things about it. I have friends that travel in their motorhome, and they have Starlink, and they said, man, that's great. They've never had a problem with it. It's pretty cheap now too. It's like $110 a month. I know it's probably a lot more than what you're paying now, but Starlink is pretty good from what I heard. It'll sound like it's supposed to. Yeah, it'll be loud, man. They're loud. I test drove some with no cat on them, with no muffler, no cat, and it's loud. It's like driving a stock car around the block. You'll be fine as long as no cops see you. If a cop goes by, he'll pull you over for sure. But I've done it before. Truth hurts. That sucks. O2 can't send proper data to your engine. You don't say how far you're going, but it likely won't destroy anything. Probably won't make power though. Yeah, he'll lose his O2. So cars normally, when they're in open loop, they're not even looking at the O2 anyway. So until your car comes to operating temperature, it doesn't even look at the O2 sensor. So yeah, like you said, it depends on how far he's going. I wouldn't drive it 30 miles. You know, that's not a good idea. But if you're just driving it down to the exhaust shop or something, a couple blocks, I think you're fine. Like I said, just make sure you're not blowing exhaust on something, because exhaust is hot. It'll light stuff on fire if you point it in the wrong direction onto something that's dripping oil, or you know, you want to make sure you divert the exhaust away from something. 3 miles, you'll be fine, I think, personally. I would drive mine 3 miles, but it depends. If you have AAA, it's cheaper just to have them come pick it up. Doesn't cost you anything. They'll take it to this. It doesn't have to be broke down for them to tow it. If you have AAA, or somebody has AAA, they can even use their AAA. Just have them come over there and say, hey, I need this car towed. Prius, don't judge. It's a Prius, don't judge. It's a Prius? Is it really? Are you just joshing me? Or are you just saying that? Because if it's a Prius, just go under 25 miles an hour. It won't start the engine. A Prius won't engage. Okay, a Prius won't engage the gas engine until you go over 25 miles an hour. Just drive real slow over there. It won't even turn the engine on. Yeah, you can just, like I said, just start it up. Sometimes they'll come on briefly if with the batteries are low, but I don't think so. Just turn it on, because I've worked on a lot of Priuses before, and just don't go over 25. Just go real slow over there, and it won't turn the gas engine on. It should stay off. Go in the catalytic converter. Got so hot the car caught on fire. Yeah, I've seen that happen. I had a 454 big block one time I was working on, and man, those big block 454s, they get hot, and they have like, you got to put certain kind of plug wires on them. They have like these ceramic coated plug wires, and they have these like there's little covers that go around where the spark plug wire goes in that diverts the heat. And this guy brought it in, and I didn't realize, but he had taken those little covers, that diverts the heat off. And I was running that thing, it burnt the spark plug wires off the truck, man. Burnt the plug wires right off, lit them on fire, and they just melted right there. I was like, what the heck? And then anyway, I was going to tell you, it was running really rich. I've never seen a manifold that you could see through. This thing got so hot, the exhaust manifold was glowing, and I could almost see through it. Like I could see the wall on the inside because it was glowing like red. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, you get one that's got a hot cat and an oil leak. I'll tell you one that you got to watch for is transmission fluid. Transmission fluid's hard to light up, but man, when you light it up, good luck at putting it out. You will not put out tranny fluid, man. It'll burn like no other. Like I said, I had a guy working for me. He sent a car out that had transmission leak, and it was leaking all over the firewall, and it was all down the exhaust. And I went and got him. I had him put it up on a rack. I said, you see that right there? You can kill somebody with that. That transmission fluid lights on fire. This car will burn to the ground. You don't let cars go out that have tranny fluids leaking on the exhaust. I did a bypass on my smog pump on my 96 Ram V10. Did a bypass, Buzz. All a smog pump is just pumps air. It's just air pumping air into the exhaust. You guys remember the check valves? Have you ever heard a car, you drive it, and every time you let off the gas, it goes boom? Every time you decel, it backfires. There's a check valve on the exhaust for that air pump, and those check valves would go bad. And the way the check valve is supposed to work is when you let off the gas, it shuts that air off. And when they don't shut the air off, they backfire. Yeah, you bet. Just be careful. Like I said, truth hurts. Just, if the engine comes on, you need to divert that gases. But I think if you just drive it under 25, just take the back roads the whole way over there and just go 25 miles an hour. It shouldn't turn on the gas engine. It should stay on electric. Actually, those Prius are good little rigs, man. They have a really good track record. We probably got 20 or 30 of them for the place where I work at, and they put me in charge of like doing the maintenance on them because they take special maintenance. You have to know what you're doing. Like there's some plugs that if you pull them out, you pull out the wrong plug, you drain all the fluid off the electric motor, and they can cost a lot of money. So yeah, they're good little rigs. For a hybrid, I think the Prius is the best car on the road. I mean, they don't have problems. They really don't. We've had ours, we've had a lot of them, and they just really don't have any problems. The only issues we really had with them was trying to teach people how to drive them. Because you turn them on, when you push the button, they come on, but they don't actually come on until you push the button a second time, and then they'll go. You put them in drive. And there's some weird things about setting an emergency brake, or there's some weird things about them like that. The problem they had with those when they first came out was people would pull up like to the bank or something, and they'd have their foot on the brake, and they'd be sitting there like writing a check or doing something, and they're not making any noise. So they would open the door and step out thinking the car was off, and they would take off because people thought that they were off because they couldn't hear them. And they'd step out of the car, and the car would just drive away and crash into some. Off a YouTube video worked great. Smooth pulley on the pump. Took it out and changed the idler pulley to grooved. Get it off you. Oh, that's cool, Buzz. Yeah, I know. The smog laws used to be really funny about air pumps. So the law says there wasn't a functional on the air pump. It didn't have to work. And it said all it had to be is a belt had to be there. So what you could do is like if you had a seized air pump, you could just put a belt on there and just leave it really loose and it would pass smog because the belt was there and that's all it required was the air pump, the belt to be present. There was no functional on the air pump. It just had to be there and have a belt on it. I used to tell people, he said, well, the air pump's seized up. I said, just put a belt on, just leave it really loose, bring it in, we'll pass it. Sometimes it wouldn't pass because the air pump's not pumping the air into the exhaust like it should, but a lot of times they would pass. Dad Strix, his trans went out in his 72 Impala. All he had was a reverse. He waited until 3 a.m. to drive it to the shop all the way there. Pops was something else. Yeah, that sounds like something I would have done. I've done a few stupid things like that. But you know, it makes us who we are. It makes us unique, that we're not afraid to step outside step outside the box sometimes. One time I had this little Datsun 510 wagon, and some neighbors or some friends of ours was moving, but they were only moving like 2 blocks over. And nobody had a truck, and they had to move their refrigerator. And I was a big old boy back then, man. I had big old huge arms. I was a beast, man. And I said, I know how we can get it over there. They're like, how? I said, go get me do you have a dolly, a refrigerator dolly? Yep. I said, go get it, man. So strapped that refrigerator dolly on that refrigerator, and I lifted the back of my 510 up, the back part, and I sat on it, the back, and I just held the dolly like this on the back, and I had my old lady drive 2 blocks to their house, and I just held onto the furniture dolly for 2 blocks. Yeah, I had a 71, and I had one, it was red, and then the other one was caramel. You see a lot of the caramel ones. It was a caramel color, like a brownish caramel. But man, what a great car that was. I miss that car. It was a great car. Had a little, L16 motor in it. I put an L20B in it. But what I liked about that Datsun, man, it's set up high. It had good clearance in the back, especially the back. Front, not as good, but the back between the differential and the ground was like, I don't know, it had to be like 13 inches. It was pretty good. It had really good rear clearance. Yeah, I hit a dog with one of mine. I hit a German Shepherd going about 70 on the freeway, and it totaled my first one. I mean, where I couldn't even drive it home, man. I had to have it towed. It broke the tie rod in. The whole wheel was all cocked like that. But I hit a German Shepherd. I didn't see him until it was too late. And man, I hit him going like 70. Big old huge German Shepherd. And it snapped the tie rod in and bent a bunch of stuff under the front end. So then I got that caramel one. You know what's crazy? I took both of those cars to the junkyard because I bought a new house and I didn't want to bring all my junk to the new house. And so I took them to the junkyard. And now those cars, you can't touch one for less than $5,000. I mean, a pile. You get one that's running, that's got good paint on it, you can get 10 grand for it. You hit the guardrail. They're pretty good cars, though. They make good little rally cars. Like I'm sure Maggot's seen some of those running in rallies, because they had McPherson front suspension and independent rear. They were a good little car, man. They had some neat features on them, like the spare tire that everyone stole that from Datsun. Yeah, if I sit rally car, yep. The wagon I had, you see everybody using their technology now. So it had a thing that you stick in through the back, and you lowered the spare tire down on a chain, just like Ford uses now. Datsun was the one that came up with that. You'd stick you use the handle for the jack, it go through a little hole, and you go like that, and the spare tire would come down like that and fit right underneath the gas tank. And now that's what Ford does. So they had a lot of neat little things on them, little neat little features on them. Yeah, they were great cars. They have big rallies here. Pink Desert Rally is good. Yeah, I've never been in a part of a rally. It sure looks like a good time though, man. Where you have a driver and then a guy that navigates. The navigator, that's all he does is navigate. Rusted out East Coast. Yep, that'll do it. Yep. I had some East Coast cars come into the shop before, and you put them up on the lift and you go, oh my God. I mean, everything's about the whole front suspension's just rusted. You couldn't take that thing apart if you wanted to. Just thrashed. That East Coast, man, it destroys cars. My dog's hair got into the, let me see. I don't have cool car stories. Well, that's a pretty good one. Your dog's hair got into the cooling system. I've had some crazy stuff happen to me. My uncles, man, they taught me all kinds of stuff, the old ways. I remember one time we were out, and my uncle, it was his truck, and the clutch started slipping. We're way up in the mountains. We were getting some firewood, and we were a long ways from the house, and it was snowing, and the clutch started slipping, and he's like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking we're walking home, this is not good. And back then we didn't have cell phones. There was no cell phones. And he goes, we can fix that. That was his famous line. He'd always say that, we can fix that. And I'll always be like, how are you going to fix that? And he goes, give me your belt. You go, what? He goes, give me your belt. So I took my belt off, and he took his knife out and he cut it in little 4-inch pieces like that. And he goes, get over here in the driver's seat. And then he goes, push the clutch in. So I pushed the clutch in, and he stuck those pieces of belt in between the flywheel and the pressure plate. And he goes, okay, now let go. And he let go. And he goes, we're going to push start this thing. And he goes, don't push the clutch in. We're going to drive it home with those belts between there. And we push start that thing and got it started, and we drove it back to the house with some leather in between the pressure plate and the flywheel. And it got us home. It smelled like it was going to burn up. Yeah, leather shim. My parking brake was a big rock. Salt there, yeah. Yeah. But I got a bunch of stories like that. That's the thing a lot of these younger kids are missing out on is, even my grandkids, because they've moved away now. And so my grandson, he just called me today and was telling me his boat's down. He has like a $30,000 bass boat. And I'm so far away, I can't really help him with it. It's like, I can try to help you over the phone, but it's hard for me to do it. I can try to walk you through things, but these kids nowadays, they don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to turn a wrench. They don't even know what a wrench is. You tell them, hand me a crescent wrench, they look at you like, huh? What's that? It's serious. They don't know anything. And I wish I was closer to my grandson so I could teach him mechanics, because you need to know that stuff, in my opinion. Hoses that went to the heater brake, I could have tree branch the same size and blocked all the heated pipes. I sold the car like that. That's funny, man. Did you give him a discount for the tree? You didn't probably even discount the price, did you? You said, oh, it'll work fine. It's got a tree heater in it. I told that story the other night about me and my Firebird, man. I made a throttle cable one time with my boot laces. I had a throttle cable snap one time on a 71 Firebird, and I took my boot laces out and tied it around the throttle linkage, and I drove that thing home with my arm hanging out the window. Funny part is I left it like that for like a week. I was driving it to and from the store 2 blocks from my house with my arm out the window because I was too lazy to get underneath there, get in there and fix that throttle cable. I was broke too. When I was younger, man, I grew up in poverty, man. I have everything I have in life because I earned it. You know, I lived in a very poverty-stricken area when I was a kid. You know, I was raised by my mother. I had no father. And my mom raised 5 kids on waitress wages in inner city Los Angeles. We lived in poverty, man. We learned how to do things, whatever it needed to be done, because you couldn't call nobody to come do it. You had to figure it out. But I was lucky enough. I went through automotive and I found my thing that I could do well, and made good money for me over all them years. Still making good money for me. I'm just getting old. I don't want to keep getting up at 5 o'clock. That's why I'm doing this YouTube thing. I'm trying to figure out a way out of this punching a clock thing, man. I'm tired of working. Get your wisdom teeth. Where'd I get my wisdom teeth? I'm not sure what you mean by that. This one that's missing? These right here? They're getting fixed soon. One of them I took out with a 20-inch crescent wrench and turned it into powder. Okay, wisdom. So I went through a 2-year automotive program when I was like 20. All right, yeah, about 20. And I've been wrenching for 40 years now. So I've been an ASC certified master mechanic for quite a few years. So I worked in a couple small shops and I worked in a couple dealerships. And then I went to work for a government agency where I built police cars for a living. So I worked on everything from like a lawnmower all the way up to like a heavy equipment, you know, $800,000 grader. Just everything you can think of, I've worked on with the county. I worked there for 25 years. I worked there for 20. Maggot, I do most of my dental work. I believe you, man. Kind of. I use finished nails instead of cotter pins on the old wheel. Nail broke, axle came apart. That's funny, man. I'd try something like that probably when I was 16. I've done some good ones. I'll tell you a funny story. One time I had a 51 Chevy pickup with a 235 in it. And I had some money. I went and got all my tune-up parts. I was all excited, man. I'm going to tune this thing up. I put new spark plugs in it, you know, I adjusted the carburetor and stuff. And then I started working on the ignition. So I put a new distributor cap. I got new wires, man. I was all excited. This truck was going to look all nice. And I adjusted the valves. I pulled the valve cover off. I adjusted the valves. I just learned how to work on cars. And I get done, it won't start. I'm like cranking on it. It's like, the hell did I do? Crank, would not start. Man, I'm like, what the frick did I do to this thing? And I'm looking over everything I did, you know, trying to figure out, pull the cap off, look at it, put it back on, you know, look at the wires. I mean, I'm looking at this thing for like an hour and a half now. And my wife at the time, she comes out there, she goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm already flustered. I'm like, just nothing, just go away. You know, I'm thinking, trying to figure this out. She's like, it won't start? And I'm like, no, it won't start. I don't know what I did to this thing, man. And she goes, what is that? And she points at the fender. I forgot to put the rotor on. The whole time I was trying to fix that thing, the rotor was sitting right there on the fender. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, go in the house. Sometimes the silliest things can keep things from. I'll tell you, if you want to ever mess with somebody, there's two ways you can really mess with somebody. There's two good ones, or actually three. One is you can take a distributor cap off and take a pencil and run it around on the inside. Man, that thing will misfire like no other. But here's a really good one for point ignition. This is hard to find. This is really hard to find. Even for a guy that knows what he's doing, he'll miss this. Take the distributor cap off and grab the rotor and crack it and just spin it around like a quarter turn and put it back on. They'll chase their tail trying to figure out why that thing won't fire right. It'll be backfiring, firing out of time. With your car, Mom will say, have you checked the spark plug? Yeah. Is that true? That's so funny. Clutch and stick. Zoom call. What do you mean by Zoom call? What do you mean clutch and stick? Zoom call. Bring him out next summer. What are you talking about? My grandson? Yeah, he's getting ready to turn 18. He might come this way for spend some time with me. I don't know. Just feel like I missed the boat with him. He left when he was like 14. I've only got to see him a couple times since then. It's just hard to travel all the way to Tennessee, time and money. Conrad out of the side of the block, Mom will say, did you check the spark plug? That's so true, isn't it? Yeah. My wife's been right a few times, though. Make me look bad. She's been hanging around me too long. I lost her, though, a couple years ago. But yeah, she was pretty smart because she'd been hanging around me all them years, listening to me talk about cars. Car right now is a 64 Impala. Man, that's a nice car. Yeah, my mom had one of those when I was a kid, like a 62. Craziest fixes. YouTube can teach you a lot, but you got to be able to read between the lines on some of it. To know my daughter until she was 20. Yeah, I know it's not too late. I mean, we have a relationship and all that. It's just, I kind of miss those years. I could have taught him a lot about what I know. When kids get to a certain age, it's harder to teach them, but I don't know. These dads nowadays, they don't teach your kids anything. Teach them how to use a cell phone. That's about it. It's frustrating for me because I want him to learn. When he was here, he used to come over and he would work with me. He loved doing that. Anything I was doing, he wanted to be right there helping me and doing stuff. So he would have learned a lot, but it's just hard when they're so far away. How funny. Figueroa. I lived on Figueroa Street? I lived on Figueroa Street when I was a kid. Yeah. Yep. I lived in Compton we lived in Section 8, not Section 8. We lived in the projects. I don't know if you guys know what projects are, but when I was really young, I lived in the projects, and the projects were like government housing. They're just big, tall buildings like this, man, really bad, riff-raffy, man, just crazy. It's like living in prison. Yeah. That's where I lived as a kid. My mom took me out of that. It's the smartest thing she ever did was move me from Southern California to Northern California when I was I went from Southern California to Monterey, and I went to work with my brother was in the Army, and I stayed down there and I worked fast food, 2 different places. I worked one fast food place during the day and the other one at night. So I had 2 jobs. And then after that, I moved to Northern California where my mom was at. My oldest sister was killed in a car accident when I was like 15 years old. And then so my mom, her death just really messed her up. So we relocated. And that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, was leaving Southern California. Because what a shithole that place is. You know, I came this way and I found nature. I love fishing and hunting, and just not hunting, but fishing and being out in nature and hiking and stuff. And man, I just loved it. I spent my early days here in Northern California just running the creeks and the lakes and the rivers and just fishing every day. We were likely going to the barber shop for dental work. Yeah, I know. I had a buddy that I worked with. He was Polish, and he was from Poland. And he told me when he used to go to the dentist in Poland, he said they had these drills that ran off a rubber belt. And they'd go, and they'd stop, and they'd stop. And he said they did all their dental work with no Novocaine. You didn't get Novocaine. It wasn't an option in Poland. You just sat there and they drilled away. I want to get out of Cali too. Hey, Lucky, I'm still in California. I'm in Northern California, but to be honest with you, I've been talking about the Philippines a lot. My kids are in different areas now. I don't get to see them much. So, and then it's gotten so expensive to live in California that me and my girl were in January, or somewhere in the spring, January through March, right in there. We're going to go to the Philippines and stay for a week. We're going to get some motorbikes and we're going to ride all over Dumaguete and check it out. My daughter and I did a taco crawl starting down on Figueroa by USC Indian in Highland Park. See, I was really young when we lived down there, but I remember living on Figueroa. I remember that when I was super young. I just remember my mom talking about it, so I knew. And then I lived in Riverside. We moved from Long Beach area, and then I moved to Riverside. And I lived in Riverside all through junior high school and high school. And that wasn't much better. Man, I lived in some bad neighborhoods in Riverside. We lived on this one street. Man, it was bad. We're the only white people in the whole thing where we lived. I can imagine how bad it is now. Hey, when I lived in Compton, it was no joke then. And now it's really bad. And I lived in Riverside, we lived in Compton, we lived in South Central. I mean, we lived in some bad places, When I came here where I live at now, my wife at the time, they have a place here in town, they call it Southside. It's where there's a lot of dark people live over on that side of town. And she told me, she says, yeah, you don't want to walk around here, down over here in Southside. And I said, why? She says, because, man, there's a lot of really dark colored people that live over here. I said, if I took you to where I lived when I was a kid, you wouldn't get out of the car. Yeah, it was bad. It's really bad now, but it was bad then. It's like living in prison, man. People shooting each other on the corners, people getting stabbed at the grocery stores, just violence like you couldn't imagine. And then the schools are like going to a prison. I mean, you can't turn your back on nobody. Yeah, I do that. Actually, I'm going to call him tomorrow. He asked me if he could call me, and it's some kind of pin or something that came loose on his boat. And he's got a tournament tomorrow, and he's going to not get to fish a tournament now because of his boat's down. And he won. He didn't win, but he fished the Tennessee State High School Bass Masters Classic last year, and he placed like 34th out of 250 boats. So he's quite a fisherman. You know, I taught him when he was real young how to fish, and his dad too. So he's a heck of a fisherman, and he loves it. But he has a nice boat. You know, for an 18-year-old kid, he's got a $35,000 bass boat. So he's doing better than I am right now. You know, but his boat broke again. He blew the motor up in it and had to have that fixed. And now the motor went down, and his dad doesn't have really any mechanical knowledge at all. So there's really no one around to help him. You know, now he's supposed to fish. He fished practice day yesterday and was on fish and caught a bunch of 5-pounders, and he's pretty confident he could place in a tournament. But now his boat's down, he's not going to get to fish tomorrow, so he's out of the tournament now. So it sucks. I told him when he bought that boat, I told him, get you an older Ranger boat that's like late 70s, early 80s, best boat ever built. You know, when he wants all the fancy gear and all this other crap. And I told him, see, I go, you didn't listen to me. I said, you need to save up $3,000 and get you a standby boat. You need to have something on standby. That way, if your boat goes down, you just go get the other boat and you fish. You don't have to, you know, now you got to wait on having the boat fixed, and you're going to miss out on the tournament. He's really upset about it because he wants to fish professionally, and he's very close to doing that. And but I told him, you need to have a backup boat when you're doing that. With a boat, nice little red one he can borrow. He told me that today. Hey, what's going on with that boat you got? I said, well, I don't have it running yet, but he's all the way in Tennessee, though. That's pretty funny. He sent a Boston Whaler red dot from a police department. Really, Buzz? That's a nice little rig, huh? Like Maggot said, I just bought a 60. I got to get it right. I keep getting the year wrong. It's a 63. It's a boat that used to be built. What the hell's the name of that thing? It's an Elgin. I don't know why I can't remember that. Man, I've tried to burn that in my brain. It's a 63 Elgin fiberglass 13-footer that used to be built by a company, and they build them for Sears and Roebuck. And man, this thing is so freaking clean. And it's got a 40 horse on the back of it. And it don't weigh nothing. It's going to just rip across the water on my, what's the year? Washing Fay. It was a rescue boat. Yeah, well, you know what? Those are probably good boats to get, because I know where I work, they have boats for the sheriff's department, and we maintain them, man. And they get maintained on time, too. They don't sit around. They get good maintenance. I have no social life. Buzz, I have no social life. That's all right, man. You hang out here with us. Hey, I do lives a lot of times early in the mornings. Like, what time is it now? I told my girl I was going to end this stuff kind of early tonight. I do live super early in the mornings a lot, like around 5. So if you see us live, come hang out, man. Just a bunch of old gearheads just talking about how to fix stuff and what our next man. I bet you guys get tired of me looking like that. My thing. Okay, look at this. I gotta put this over there. Maybe that will help, because then it will make me look at the camera. The thing is, I got like the camera is over here, and my monitor's here, so I'm constantly looking at my face. Yeah, thanks, Buzz. Appreciate that. We're getting a little bit of following going on. We got like 10 guys for sure that show up all the time, and then sometimes we get 20 or 30 people in here. So, you know, and I can teach at a lot of different levels. You know, I've taught automotive for years. So that's one of the things I want to do with the lives, is start to try to teach people, learn something along the way. And I can walk you through a lot of stuff and I can teach you how to do it. I appreciate you saying that, Buzz. How old are you? If you don't mind me asking. That's good because I like teaching it. Foreigners are hard as nails. That's why so many of them do well when they came here. A bunch of people that were born here think people with money inherited it. Bear that out. 60. So we're about the same age. I'm 61. And I think Maggot, how old are you now? You're 60, aren't you? Riverside, Tucky. What is that? What are you talking about, Clutch and Stick? We got some old guys that got a lot of experience hanging around. We got a few guys that got 35, 40 years in the industry. So we're trying to put together a panel. We're going to try, hopefully I can do that. I want to have a panel of like 4 or 5 guys that have some automotive experience. And then like Wednesday nights or something, we'll do like just ask questions, question and answers. Like, you can come in and say, hey, I got this car and, it makes a funny noise when I turn left. So a panel of guys that have been in the industry for a long time might be able to walk you through all that, and help you figure out what the problem is. And a lot of things timed by San Bernardino looks bombed out and depleted. San Diego was much better than all those places back in the 70s. Yeah. San Diego. Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time down that way. My buddy, where I went to school with, his mom and dad had a beach house in Oceanside. And I was just a poor boy, man. I didn't have nothing. But this guy, his mom and dad had money. And he was my buddy. So we used to go at 24. You're so full of crap. Maggot says he's 24. Probably got 24 bumps on your head. Are you counting bumps on your head? Yeah, so I had a buddy, his mom and dad, they had a beach house down in Oceanside. So I got to go hang out down there with them in the summertime. That was cool. Spent a lot of time down in that San Diego Oceanside area. As a kid, that was some of the best memories of my life, was running around down there. Go to these big old, down there what they used to have is bonfire parties, man. You just go to the beach and you look for a bonfire. When you see a fire going, you just walk down there and there was a party going. Fear was going to junior high in San Diego. I went to live with my dad, who would stay in shape for college football by wrestling. Came back and everyone's asked that wanted some. My grandson, man, he's a wrestler, man. He's a beast of a wrestler. It's the 20th anniversary of my 40th birthday. There you go. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I just turned 61. I'm going to get my Social Security in like 10 months. Can't wait. My grandson, man, he started wrestling when he was 5. And he went to state his second year wrestling. And man, he was a beast, man. I mean, he was so good at it. But he just got burnt out and he didn't want to do it. His mom and dad, I don't know, I don't want to say too much, but, I think everybody pushed him too hard. It became no fun to him. And he's like, I don't want to do it no more. And he was really good. He would have went to college easy. He would have easily got a college scholarship. He used to just destroy kids, man. They'd go off the mat crying. He just destroy them. Sometimes it'd be like 11 seconds, man. It'd be over. I wish I could retire. I ache all over. Buzz, what do you do for a living? I'm the same way. My back is toast, man. I shouldn't even be working right now. But I just go to work and I just don't overdo it, Buzz, what do you do? What kind of work do you do? Maggot used to do concrete, but now he doesn't do anything. He just hangs out and he plays with his sheep. Right, Maggot? In the 70s, they bought sand dunes and built a house. They still live there. It's built up now. Yeah. What do you do, Buzz? I'm still wrenching. I wrench part-time, part-year. I work, this year I'm going to work 3 days a week because I can only work like 600 hours and then I'm done. Because after that, they start taking my Social Security away. It's ridiculous, the Social Security. Oh, that's freaking cool, Maggot. You did jiu-jitsu for 19 years? You're kind of a badass then, aren't you? I don't know. One of those guys. I do absolutely nothing. I can't wait to do that. I want to do that. I just want to get up in the morning and go, well, on a good day. I think I'll just go hang out with my tomato plants or something. Go take a nap in the easy chair. I was retired for 5 years, man. I know what it feels like. And what sucks is when you retire and have to go back. It's the worst, man. Because you know what retirement feels like, and you're like, you got to be shitting me. I got to get up and do this again. I came out of retirement. I've been working 2 years now. After being retired for 5. I do have to. No, you've been on for 2 hours. I know, huh? The lights kind of go there. I don't know why. It's just jabbering away. At an airport, I walk on the passenger loading bridges, take care of mechanical and electrical. Okay, yeah, I know what that's. So yeah, you're basically wrenching. You know. Yeah, you know, when you get to be our age, man, you shouldn't have to do the hard stuff anymore. I still do it though. I'm pretty lucky that I stayed in the electrical part because it's not as hard work as doing like transmissions and differentials and working on heavy equipment. It's a lot easier. So I'm good in that way. So what I do is I build police cars when I go back. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I used to work on heavy equipment. I know what those tires are all about. That's hard work, man. You do them long enough, you find easy little tricks, but it's still heavy, man. I've been choked out more times than I can remember. Man, that's why you do this all the time, Maggot. Why are you doing that? I've got a rocking chair on the front porch. We use forklifts and cranes. Yeah, we got an overhead where I work, big overhead crane. I've worked on everything you can think of. I've done motors and loaders. I've done like repairs on graders and backhoes and all that. But I don't like that stuff. I'm more of an automotive guy. So I'll do like mostly troubleshooting and electrical. But right now, all I really do is I build police cars and I build new trucks for the crews, for the road crews. So I get the new trucks and put all the fuel tanks and all the lights and all that stuff in it. If you train to fight and do physical work, they don't tell you about the pain that comes later in life. Yeah, you're right. They don't, man. I sacrificed my body for 40 years to make money, and now I feel it. My lower back is toast, man. There's times like when I do little jobs, I got to take a 2-day break to recover. That's why I don't want to work more than 3 days a week. Jim Rome, sportscaster, used to say that referring to the Inland Empire, Riverside, Tucky, San Bernardino, Tucky, Paris, Tucky, Redlands, Tucky. Oh, I see what you're saying. I have nerve pain in my back now. It's terrible. God, I'm going through the same thing, man. And they had me on pain meds for a while, and I just told them, get me off. I don't want to be on those. Nope. They make me where I'm gonna ask to be around. I get aggressive, and it changes who I am. I don't want to. I'd just rather. So now I just do. I go to the doctor, and they gave me this like Tylenol H something. It's supposed to like it releases different or whatever. I just do that with ibuprofen. That's what I maintain my pain with. A lot of times it's not enough. That's what sucks, man. When you work hard all your life, you feel it later. Thinking about getting a little truck and doing pothole repairs. Who would you do that for, Maggot? I just had nerves in my back. Car rides to help with the pain. Buzz, did it help? Because they're wanting me to go to a doctor and get injections, man. I'm like, I don't know. Mountain Chicken on Google, trust me. Oreo Brothers. I'm not sure what that's about. I did a little. My neighbor, she had a guy that gave her injections in her back, and then they do, like you said, they go in, they cauterize the end of the nerve or something, and it helped her a lot. They're trying to talk me into doing that. I'm just like, I don't know. Everybody I talk to that's had any kind of surgery on their back is worse than when they went in. I think you're better off just to try to do some upper body strength stuff and try to just keep yourself healthy. Any of that medical stuff seems like the government. That wouldn't be bad, government doing potholes, as long as you're not going to kill your back. I don't know, after sitting around doing nothing all the time, man, you might, I don't know. And they probably have to call you and tell you what day it is so you knew that it was a work day. What do you think? My legs goes numb. Yeah, man, you're in the same boat a lot of us old guys are that just work their butts off their whole life. Things keep breaking on steroids. It's hell. Getting old ain't for sissies, is it? I have a lot of issues. I get, my girl always tells me, hey, you shouldn't be doing this or that. And I'm like, you know what? I can be in pain doing something I enjoy, or I can be in pain, sitting on my butt doing nothing. I'd rather just be out doing something. Gonna come chase you out of your shop. It's 20 minutes till 10. Yeah. She's probably already out. She worked today. She works weird hours. She gets up at like 3 a.m. and she works till like 9 a.m. And then tomorrow's her day off. So she's probably sleeping already. Yeah, I'm going to get off here. I got a few things I got to do with a video that I'm doing before I go to bed. And anyway, thanks everybody for coming in live. And I'll check my email for Buzz. I'll check my email. I won't forget. And I'll send you a reply. Sarping, I've got a coworker who underneath placement. He hobbles around and works his ass off in pain. Yeah, man, isn't that kind of sad? You see that going on? You think we take care of our people better than we do. We don't, though. We just let them stroke. Like that guy, he's probably just, he can't afford to retire, so he just got to keep working. Hey, Radio 1988. Sorry to bail on you right now. You just made it into the live. But it's been a long day for me. I'm going to call it a night. And but if you come back, Friday nights, we do a live and we give away tools. So every Friday night we do we do trivia like we did tonight. And if you win on the spin on the end, you'll win a free tool. We gave away a Snap-on tool tonight. So anyway, come back and see us. And I'm usually on lives early in the mornings, talking the same stuff, just automotive stuff. What day is it tomorrow in America? Tomorrow is I gotta think about it. Tomorrow's Sunday. Today's Saturday, huh? I was saying Sunday. Earlier I was saying, well, Sunday night, people probably doing stuff. Today's Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. Yep, tomorrow's Sunday. Okay, Buzz. Hey, thanks for your subscription. And like I said, you guys go check out the links. The ones that haven't gone and checked out the links, go check them out. Even if you don't buy anything, just click on one. It helps us. That way, if your wife buys a Ferrari tomorrow, I get 5% on it. That way, if your wife buys her boyfriend a bouquet of flowers, I'll get some money. I'll let you know. All right, guys. Hey, I'm gonna call it a night. Well, I'll see you probably a couple days. I'll do a live. I don't know what I got going on tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a busy day. My girl's off, so we'll be doing something. But check for the lives in the mornings. Usually real early, 5, 6 a.m. I'm up, and I usually do a live 2 or 3 times a week. All right, guys. Hey, take care. Stay out of trouble. You too, Maggot. Stay out of trouble, boy. See ya.